There was a big, long, heated custody battle over me when I was 10 years old between my mother and my father. And there was enough evidence against my mother with her drugs and her history with violence and jail, going in and out of jail, and obviously all the trauma she had put me through, that it was kind of an open and shut case. My dad won the custody battle, and I met my dad for the first time, and now it was time to go live with him. I was very sheltered living with my dad. I had a 5 p.m. curfew. Even when I had a license and a car and stuff like that, I was extremely sheltered. I wasn't allowed to do a whole lot. So I decided to move out at the age of 17. I had all the freedom in the world all of a sudden, going from sheltered to complete freedom, and that was not a good thing. I managed to get arrested over 10 times from the age of 17 to 20 years old. I did a 3-month bid in county jail, and let me tell you, that was really rough. I was scared as hell. That was quite the experience. All I did back then was party and smoke weed. I was a little rebel kid. I couch surfed, and I only showered every few days. I actually I stayed at multiple different friends' houses, and I didn't really have a home of my own. I was actually homeless for about a year, and I slept in my car during that whole time period. I didn't have a job back then. I sold weed and various other drugs to stay afloat, and that's kind of how I transitioned from being an innocent little kid to becoming a drug addict and an alcoholic. I went from smoking weed and you know, doing ecstasy and stuff like that to the hard drugs. You name it, I did it. It didn't matter to me what type of drug it was, as long as it got me high. I just wanted to numb the pain. I drank every night until I blacked out. There's several years of my life that I barely remember because I was so fucked up. At 20 years old, I rented a house. It was a duplex in a shitty meth head neighborhood. My drug dealing kind of ramped up, and I had what people would call a trap house. I became very well known in that area, and that's not a good thing in that line of work. I had people riding by and scoping out my house. They wanted to get their hands on the things that I had back then. One night, I had a standoff in front of my house in the meth head neighborhood. I had a 12-gauge shotgun pointed at someone's head, while the other person had a 9mm pointed at my face. No shots rang out that night, but there were promises that those people would be back, and they'd be back very soon. A friend of mine was stationed in the military in San Francisco, so I decided to pack all of my things and move to California on the drop of a hat. I had $60 in my pocket, shitty credit, no car, no job, 3 active warrants, a drug and alcohol addiction, crippling depression, frequent anxiety attacks. I blamed others for my shortcomings. I was overweight and in terrible physical shape. I had frequent thoughts of suicide. I hated myself. I hadn't spoken to my father in over 6 years, and my mother was in prison. I felt alone. I was alone. It was at this time in my life, rock bottom, when I finally decided to turn my life around. Hey guys, if my story resonated with you, if you were able to relate to my past and my struggles, subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more content related on how I was able to beat addiction, how I was able to conquer my past demons, and how I was able to live a more prosperous and fulfilling lifestyle.